seconder to open up the meeting. Moved by Peter Kistemaker and seconded by Drago Stefanik. Be it resolved that we do call this regular meeting of council to order on Wednesday, May 6, 2020 at 6 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Welcome, glad to see everybody. So to review and note any changes to agenda. There being none, we have a mover and a seconder approve the agenda as presented.
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by John.
I'll second it.
Second by Belinda. So moved by John Paroff, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to 4 is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof and declaration of conflict of interest. Council, at any time now or during the meeting, you can declare a conflict of interest, and we can carry on. There's none being presented right now. 5, adoption of the minutes. So for the regular council of meeting minutes, Wednesday, April 15th, 2020, if I can get a mover and a seconder, please.
I'll move it.
Belinda.
I'll second.
And John. Okay, moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, April 15th, 2020 as distributed. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and do we have any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, I'll move on. So tonight we have a deputation presentation from our auditors, and I want to welcome Nathan Dool to our meeting tonight. This is unusual to welcome you this way, Nathan. I'd much prefer to see you in person and in council chambers where we can talk and socialize. So thank you for being here.
I much prefer to be there in person, but we'll do what we have to do.
Okay.
Cheryl?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I just suggest that while Nathan's doing his presentation, everybody mute their mics?
Yes, for sure. And I'd just like to let any people watching or watching this later, we are going to be sharing documents. So you're going to see some of us adjust off the screen, but council is all present today. So we are still here listening as well. And yes, if everyone can mute their mics, that would be great. And I'll give it over to you. Okay, Nathan? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you think we can get my document back there, Melissa? Okay, maybe it's me who has to do it. Okay, can you see that? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the strangest audit presentation I've done to date, but this is the way things are now. So I do hope for the days where I can go and see people in person, but we'll do what we have to right now, and I'll get right into it because I'm sure there's other things you want to get to tonight. So just to do an overview, I would say that it was a pretty positive year, 2019, for the township in terms of a financial performance. There's certainly still challenges that the township is facing. Probably some of those challenges are going to be exacerbated by what is going on right now with the COVID-19, but hopefully the overall long-term impact will be minimal. on the township. Just to start, I do have my document over here. This is the draft financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2019. We did perform our audit for the most part before the close down of society. There was some challenges. We were still facing challenges at our office. Most of our people are working from home, but we seem to be getting into a groove now. In terms of our audit opinion, our responsibility is to express an opinion on whether we think these financial statements are fairly stated. For this year end, it's similar to last year end. We found no issues. It is a clear audit opinion for the year ended December 31st, 2019. So that is the audit opinion that we're looking for. If there was an issue, it would be disclosed in our audit opinion, but basically there's no issues found that cause these financial statements to be materially misstated. And by material, I mean significant misstatement. Just to continue down, I'll try to, it looks like it's a little slow moving the pages, so I'll try to stop it and then start talking. To go down to the statement of operations for the year. So this shows basically all the revenues and expenses for the township. Biggest source of revenues for the township are from tax revenues. We did see an increase year to year, so that increase is going to be directly related to the percentage increase, but also any increase in assessments that happen. So usually when we have a budgetary increase of the tax rates, there's also not only the initial tax rate increase, but there's also the increase that comes from assessments as well. Just going down to some other revenues, provincial revenues, we do see that down year to year, but you will remember there was a rather significant capital project with the water tower in 2018. So in terms of significant capital grants, there wasn't as much in the current year. Other main source of provincial funding would be the OMPF funding, and we did see that down year to year, which has always been a fear whether that funding is sustainable long term. Another major source of revenues is user fees. Majority of the user fees that you see is related to the water and sewer charges. So we did see an increase in that year to year, but again, mostly inflationary. Other revenues, you'll see donation and other. So there's one-time payments from the nuclear waste of $300,000 in each year. So we do have, if you look at the 381, 309, 300 of that was from the nuclear waste organization. Overall, we're seeing revenues down year to year, 5.5 to 5.2 million. But we do have to remember there was a significant capital grant in the prior year that did not occur again in the current year. Just to touch on some of the expenses, general government, you do see overall general government increasing 676 to 828. There was a significant repair in the administration costs in the current year. I believe it was a roof. And this year, unfortunately, we did have to increase our allowance for doubtful taxes. Last year, there was no increase. This year, we had an increase in doubtful taxes of $60,000, and that expense is included in that 828. So if you take into account the renovation costs and the write-off of doubtful taxes, that's the majority of the increase in general government. Other areas, transportation services. again, mostly an inflationary increase year to year. Certainly reasonable, nothing out of the ordinary. Environmental services, so this can be your water and sewer expenses. We actually saw that go down year to year, which given challenges in the water and sewer area, that's a positive item. Areas that we did see a big increase in expenses, recreation and cultural, and there was some renovations in there included in those amounts, in planning and development. So most of the expenses related to the nuclear waste organization funding are in planning and development. So I believe there was a service delivery review, and there's also some remediation of some mold in the northern store, and those are significant portions of that planning and development expense. Overall, the annual surplus 64,000 compared to 1.1 million in the prior year. So a lot of people would ask, well, why did that go down year to year? And the main reason is a significant grant was received for a capital expenditure. It used to be that we would have a capital grant and then expense the actual capital costs, but now we have to capitalize it. So in the prior year, we had the capitalizing of those costs. In the current year, there wasn't a significant capital item. So if we were to look at overall, how did the township do? Basically quite well, because it was able to transfer about $400,000 into reserves from 2018 to 2019. So that's really a significant, you know, you could consider that your surplus. It was transferred into reserve, but for the most part, we've transferred any actual operational surplus into reserve this year, and I'll touch on reserves in a bit. I'm just going to go back one page. Cash, $2.1 million. So at the end of 2019, there's about $1 million in reserves. So given what's gone on in the first part of 2020, probably the greatest thing municipalities do have is well-funded reserves. So in this case, about $1 million of that is reserved amounts. Taxes receivable. This is a challenging area. We do see a further increase in taxes receivable, 337 to 370, and there was actually a write-off of about $60,000 in doubtful receivables in the current year. Again, the township has faced challenges, as you're aware, with collecting taxes on properties, and it doesn't seem to be going away as easily. And I believe we did have a few more properties that were vested in the current year. Obviously, this is an area that does impact cash flow, and I know that it's something that the township is well aware of. And with the COVID crisis, obviously the collectability of taxes is going to continue to be a challenge. Just a few other items that are a bit different from the prior year. Deferred revenue. So there was some funding that was received close to year end that is going to be utilized in the 2020 year end. I do have a list of that. I'll touch base on the note, but I believe it was about 5 different revenue sources. Next item I'd like to just touch on is solid waste closure and post-closure liabilities. So the township is getting close to the end of their landfill life. I believe that based on the most recent reports, there's probably 5 years left in the actual landfill. Again, that could change depending on what we see each year in the engineering report, but the amount of increase you see is actually the current year's additional costs for the actual closure liability, because when you're going to actually close the landfill, there's going to be a very significant cost to the township. And obviously, you know, since the landfill is being utilized each year, we have to record a portion of that cost each year as a liability. Inventories for resale. The majority of what you see in the inventories for resale is the land that the township has taken back through vesting of properties that could not pay their tax bills. So I believe we saw 2 more properties vested in the current year, and I think there was 2 sales. Obviously, you know, when we look at what the inventory of the land is you're taking on, we also look at what the current sale prices of any properties that were sold during the year. So again, the amounts that have been received for any property sales have been relatively minor, and as a result, the amounts that we're seeing on the just 1 second, somebody's got a vacuum in the background. I just got to stop that. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry about that. Just overall on the inventories, if we were to look at what the total cost base of those of the land that has been vested by the township, it's close to $1 million. So basically, we've written it down to about $200,000, which we think is what's ultimately recoverable at this time. Just to go to a few of the notes. Just on the deferred revenues. So the major portion of the deferred revenues that we have are related to modernization funding. I think that was received quite close to the 2019 year end, and federal gas tax funding. So that has to be earmarked for a specific project each year. So those are the 2 major amounts for the deferred revenues to be utilized in 2020. Again, note 7 shows the closure liability. So right now, the estimated undiscounted future costs for closure and post-closure care of the landfill is $939,000. So obviously, once the landfill is actually closed and the efforts to remediate it are complete, there's also going to be 30 years of monitoring that needs to be done on the landfill. So as you can see, there's significant costs with closing a landfill, and that's why there's been so much effort put at waste diversion over the years. And you know, as I think I've said in the prior years, the city of Sault Ste. Marie is looking at expanding their landfill, and I believe they've estimated the costs in the $15 to $20 million range. So there's a lot of hoops to go through in setting up a new landfill, and it's something that I'd like to bring to your attention. Subsequent events. So we are required to disclose that the COVID-19 pandemic has, well, impacted any client that we're working on. It's made my life as an auditor more interesting. In this case, I think the greatest risks that the township face are related to the collection of taxes on properties, and also the sale of properties that have been vested in the past. They are projecting a decline in real estate values. in Canada as a result of this crisis. But those are the main items. Again, we have determined that are estimated that the impact for a municipality is probably on the minimal side compared to some private businesses that have been more severely impacted. Just to touch base, last page, second last page. So this year, we actually saw overall a $437,000 transfer to reserves in the current year. Major increase in reserves related to water and sewer. So $289,000 is what's in the water and sewer reserve compared to $45,000 in the prior year. And the capital reserve has also been increased from 53 to 184,000. So those are the major areas that we saw reserve increases. And just to touch on one last page, they've made things much more difficult now with the accounting for municipalities. It used to be we were on more of a cash basis, money in, money out. But now with the capitalizing of expenses, it's really skewed how the overall surplus and deficit that you see on the financial statement. So I always like to do a reconciliation of, well, what would it be under the old method, under a more cash basis method? Really, administration would be at a surplus of about 11,000, protection at 25,000, transportation, so this would be your roads and whatnot, at 58,000. Now, environmental, which is water and sewer, there's one caveat to this. It does say 385, but you do need to take out the 278 in reserve transfers because the reserve transfers came from a different area. So really, if we were looking at water, sewer, environmental, it's probably close to $100,000 loss. And then the other areas, planning, $95,000 surplus in the current year. It looks like there were some costs that couldn't be fully expended during the year, so we might see that utilized more in the subsequent years. And recreation, cultural, that would cover any of the arenas and whatnot, and the library would be in there. There was some significant maintenance in that area, but overall $60,000 loss in that area. So, and then I believe the final pages just are the library, and for the most part, that was on a break-even basis for the year. If you take out the amortization expense, which is a non-cash item, there was a surplus overall that was transferred to reserve. So I know that's a lot to take in, but I can take any questions you have right now.
Well, thank you for that, Nathan. That was pretty extensive. So I'm going to open the floor to council if they have any questions. And I'm just going to move down the screen, whoever I come to first. And Councillor Stefanik, that's yourself. Do you have any questions for the auditors? Oh, there we go. You're okay, Drago? Your microphone is on mute. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a simple question. Number 7, my main concern is the solid waste enclosure. When you arrived at the figure of $432,000, 238, did you actually price it out? The potential contract that will be doing the specific work?
Yeah, this is the tough thing about the closure liabilities, because we have to go by the engineering reports.
Okay.
So basically the engineering reports use estimates, and you know there's obviously a big question whether their estimate is reasonable based on you know the contractor is willing to work in Hornepayne. You know, it might be more expensive, it might be less expensive, but all we can do is really depend on those reports.
So that's a very educated guess you're saying to me.
Yeah. Yeah, based
Thank
on
you.
the engineers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Belinda. Do you have any questions for the auditor? Ensure you unmute yourself.
No,
There we
I
go.
don't right now. Not yet.
Okay, thank you, Belinda. Peter?
No, I don't. Thank you for the presentation, Nathan.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're moving on to John.
No, I like the presentation that you did. We look like we're doing pretty good, but once again, the solid waste closure thing is a big thing for this council anyways that we're looking at. And I'm kind of wondering, are we on set? Are we on track to meet our target, or is there going to be a surprise in the next couple of years?
Same with,
That goes to anybody.
well,
Okay, I'm not sure.
I'll
Gail?
try to answer that.
Okay,
As far as we know, and if the engineer's predictions are right, and Dwayne, you can correct me if I'm off base, but that's what we're anticipating the life expectancy of the landfill is about 5 years. So this is the year we should be putting out an RFP for a study to see whether we can, whether they suggest we expand or find a new location. So that's something Dwayne and I have talked about starting, and we'll be working on in the next 2 or 3 months to get that out there and get some costing to figure out. Basically, it's a feasibility study, and the engineer will recommend what is the best way for us to go on that. Because they tell me it takes 4 to 5 years to develop a new, like get the new ECA for a new site and all that kind of stuff. I think maybe a little bit less if it's an expansion, which would be preferable because it would probably be cheaper. But I know for us, there's water surrounding 2 sides of it, at least, and a power line on the back end of it. So I'm not sure what kind of difficulties that would present. But we'll find that out through the study.
Can you go?
okay, thank you, Gail. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Belinda.
I guess when you're looking at a landfill, can you go higher? Like,
One of the things, Belinda, that was suggested was a couple of years ago, was to get a study done, an engineered study done, not a study, an engineered design, I guess, done, because you can, one of the engineers had told us you can do ramp disposal. So every week you would put your garbage into a new cell, you would bury that cell, move to the left or the right, bury that week, move to the left or the right, and then once all those, whatever ones they've parceled out for you, once those are all full, you start on another layer. So that's something that probably would be included in the study, but that would only probably extend it. I don't know how long that would extend it. It wouldn't be long term.
okay.
So, but it has been brought up to us. So I think that would be part of the whole design of the new or expanded site to allow for that.
Okay. We have another question from Councillor Peter. You can go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, it was actually Gail. I'm sorry, it wasn't directed towards Nathan. It was just when you brought up Gail, the 5 years out. Was that including the houses that we were going to put in the landfill this year, Gail?
Probably not.
I don't know if it included all of them or not. I would say not, because I don't think we had all that information at the time we had that report.
Okay.
I think that was part of the reason we were looking at trying to get them in the other, like put the dispose in the other location. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So moving on, is there any other questions for Nathan about the auditor's report? No? Okay. Let me just look. I have to go back to my note that I made. One question I do have about that number 7 as well, Nathan, is because you're bringing our attention to it, and you have for the past several years now, I'm wondering, is there a recommended way, like should we be putting a percentage away every year to cover these costs?
A lot of municipalities do have like landfill reserves.
Okay.
Because basically the liabilities being set up, and you know, unless you're expecting a significant grant related to the construction of you know, the closure of the landfill and the construction of a new landfill, obviously the money's going to have to come from somewhere, or it will have to be borrowed.
Okay, thank you for that. That was all the question I had, so there's no further questions. Okay, I have a resolution. You received it in your packages. I'll need a mover and a seconder, please. Sorry, I had my, oh, thank you, Belinda. And a seconder, Drago. Thank you, Drago. Okay, so the motion is moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Drago Stefanik. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby accept the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne's consolidated financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2019, as presented to Council by Nathan Dool of BDO Canada Limited Partnership. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Well, thank you so much, Nathan. That went quicker than I think we all expected. We had a whole hour displayed there. I don't know if this virtual thing has a part to play in that.
Yeah, maybe it's being in person. I just must talk more, but thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll see you all soon.
Okay, thank you for being here. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're carrying on to 7.2. We have a presentation from the Township of Hornepayne, Melissa Chenier, Client Service Manager, 2020 Water and Sewer Rates. All yours, Melissa.
Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to share my screen. Oh, it says I have to go to my security settings. What does that mean?
Can we just follow along with the attachment, Melissa? It won't help the people on the public.
Well, I can send it over to David if that would be okay.
I think Judy's here too.
Okay, I'll do that if you just want to give me a second. I'll send it over to Judy and Dave.
It was presented with the agenda online as well, wasn't it, Melissa? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's available online for people.
Yeah, that's right.
If they want to does that work? Are we going to move forward? Are you still sending it, or? Okay, I'm just going to announce that now, just because this is our first meeting with this available. You can, anyone that's participating can go to the townshipofhornepayne.ca, and underneath the I believe it's Town Hall. I was looking at it earlier, and then you click under Council meetings, and then that'll give you a place where you click. You'll see the whole agenda package.
Okay, good to proceed then?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I first, before going into the 2020 budget, I wanted to highlight some of the 2019 information and finances. So I put in a few of the capital projects that happened in 2019. So we did have an electrical assessment. So a contractor completed an electrical assessment of all the water and wastewater facilities and corrected minor issues while on site. It was discovered issues with grounding and areas where upgraded breakers needed replacement. So those items are going to be rectified within our 2020 capital projects. The next item is electrical upgrades. So an electrician made repairs to keep the system to code as per ESA. The dechlorination study. So an engineer completed the dechlorination study and recommended that we proceed with ultraviolet. As you are all aware, the grant application has been submitted through Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program to carry out that project. The next capital project was the filter train assessment, and the contractor completed that assessment and discovered that the system is in good working order. There was an instrumentation assessment. A contractor completed that assessment and corrected some minor issues while he was on site. The instrumentation integrity was found to be good. The contractor also gathered some information regarding what can be done to provide remote access to the Aqua operators in Hornepayne. And the last capital project was raw water intake inspection. So that was completed using Aqua's remotely operated vehicles unit, and they provided a report. While they were on site, an inspection of the water tower and the clear waters was completed, and there were no concerns with either the intake, the clear waters, or the recently upgraded water tower. So now I'll move on to highlights of the 2019 operations and maintenance. So on page, oh, I guess they're not numbered. No. Okay, I'll just carry on because I don't see a number, page numbered. 6. Oh yeah, page 6.
If you hit your screen, I think it'll come up for you. It should be page 6 you're on.
Yeah. Okay, so on page 6, you'll see the water treatment and distribution. So the whole amount for 2019 that was budgeted was $371,641, and that the total actuals for the whole year was $425,140. So we had a deficit for the water treatment and distribution system for $53,499. So then on page the $371,641, that's how much we collected to pay for those expenses. And then the next page, on page 7, is the wastewater treatment plant. So that amount we budgeted was $353,424, and the actuals for the total of 2019 was $238,442. So we had a surplus in the wastewater treatment collection for $114,982. So the next page is a combination of both the water and the wastewater. So the total operating charges for both those, we estimated it to be $725,665, and the total actuals were $663,582. So we have a surplus combined both projects, or both water, sewer, and wastewater, of $61,483. So that's money that we can carry into our 2020 water and sewer budget. So now moving on to the 2020 water and sewer draft budget. So the capital projects that we have budgeted for. So Gail and I have met with Aqua a few times in regards to these capital projects. So between the us and Aqua, Joanna and Pat, we've come up with electrical repairs. So all the items that were discovered during the 2019 electrical assessment to be repaired. The electrical redesign, so create a plan and a scope of work along with pricing to find a long-term sustainable solution for feeding power from lift stations and the water treatment plant. The fuel tank at the raw water pumping station has to be replaced. It failed. Leak detection and valve replacement and repairs, both preventative maintenance, and a 4-inch trash pump with hose. The current trash pump is nearing the end of its life, and the current hose have developed leaks. So those 5 capital projects total $135,000. So the next screen shows the water and the wastewater budgets for 2019 that was provided by Aqua. So these amounts come from our operation and maintenance contract that we have signed with Aqua for 20 years. These are the estimates that they are expecting for 2019 or 2020, sorry. So the operating charge for water is $389,914. And wastewater, a total operating charge, they're estimating $345,378. So the next page brings in all of the Aqua costs that were shown on the previous slides. So the water operation maintenance, $389,917. Wastewater operations and maintenance, $345,378. The third line, 2019 water unscheduled capital, that's how much we schedule each year for breaks. So that's 100,000. And then the 2020 capital projects is 135,000. So the total Aqua costs is 970,295. So on the next page, these are the long-term loan payments that we budget into our water and sewer budget. So the first 2 is for the water treatment plant. We have 2 payments, each at approximately 32,000, and the wastewater treatment plant, that is our portion that we got a long-term loan for phase 2 of our OSIF phase 2 upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant. So those 4 payments is $89,515.09. So then the next page is the water and wastewater expenses that the township directly pays for. So wages for interdepartmental, $13,470. That's a portion of the wages we allocate from our frontline staff for taking water and sewer payments and processing water and sewer billings. So that goes into the water and sewer accounts. And then advertising, telephone, just operating expenses that we pay for. The hydrological assessment is for our sludge site. And then I have $4,218.74 transfer to reserve. So the total amount for that is $28,849.45. So the following page is a summary of the 3 previous slides. So the Aqua costs, the long-term loan payments, and the township operating expenses for the year is $1,088,659.55. So as I previously mentioned at the beginning, we have our 2019 Aqua credits that we can bring into our 2020 budget. So that reduces the revenue that we need to collect. So that's $61,484. And if we keep our water and sewer billings at the same rate based on 2019 water and sewer rates, that'll generate $1,027,175.55, which which equals the amount of revenue we need to collect in order to keep the revenue and the expenses status quo and to keep them both even. So that amount for revenue and expenses would both be $1,088,000, $659.55. So those, if we go for a zero increase, that's the amount that we would raise. So if you go to page 19, I have illustrated the impacts of a 0% increase. So the first one, the transfer to reserve would only be $4,218, and it's lower than the 2.5% as we identified in our Township of Hornepayne's water financial plan. The valve replacement and repairs have been reduced from 25,000 to 15,000. So that came out of the discussions that Gail and I had with Aqua. The third one as well, new plumbing at the water treatment plant and lift station and cleaning inspection of $10,000 and new plumbing is $6,500. We took those out of the capital budget and put them into operation and maintenance, which will certainly decrease the potential credits that we will have for the 2021 budget, assuming that we will have credits, and we don't really know that until the end of the year. And then 0% has been budgeted for uncollectible accounts. So I had put that particular slide or comment in there because I expected Nathan to be touching on the uncollectibles for water and sewer, but he didn't touch on that at all. So I did reach out to him, and the uncollectibles for 2019 was $23,000. So the impact of 0% increase, so the residential water and sewer rate, the total would be $1,734.27, which would be the same as the 2019 rate. So the next slide, the alternate options is we can transfer the 2.5% as identified, transfer to reserve 2.5% as identified in our water financial plan, which would be $25,680, which would result in a 2.13% increase to the water and sewer rates. We can increase the valve replacement and repairs back to 25,000 from 15, which would result in a 1% increase to the water and sewer rates. We can reallocate the new plumbing at 6,500 and the lift station cleaning inspection of 10,000 from operation and maintenance to capital, which would result in a 1.63% increase. And we could include 21,500, which is based on the 2019 write-offs for uncollectibles for, oh, sorry, I had said earlier 23,000, so it's 21,500. He actually told me that the amount that they calculate that based on the amount that's outstanding on March 31st of the following year, and the amount that was outstanding was 43,000. So it's 50% of 43,000 that they write off as uncollectible. So that 21,500 would result in a 2.13 increase to the water and sewer rate. And just to highlight, each of these things represent their own. So if you wanted to do all of them, you would have to increase 2.13 plus 1% plus 163. They're all individualized. And should council opt to include any of the any of these individual items, an alternate option available is to transfer funds from the water and sewer reserve to keep the rates at 0. So other factors of consideration, a 1% increase to the water and sewer rates would generate $10,096.61 to municipal revenue, and it would increase the residential rate $17.34 per year. Water and sewer rates are calculated on a cost recovery basis, with the township collecting enough money to meet operational and capital costs associated with both the water and the wastewater systems. So our recommendation is to keep the water and sewer rate at a 0% increase for 2020. COVID-19 financial impacts are uncertain at this time, and we are currently waiving late fees and penalties on water and sewer accounts, and an increase to the water and sewer rates we feel would be counterproductive. So under these circumstances, we are recommending a 0% increase for this year. So as you guys know, based on our SDR, we've compiled a new strategy of delivering the budget. So this year, starting this year, we're going to do a question period that's going to be open for a 7-day period. And then next week at council, or 2 weeks from now, there'll be an open discussion in council deliberations once I have answered all of the questions that come in writing, and I will send those answers out, the questions as well as the answers, prior to the council meeting, and then the questions and answers will also be included with the agenda package, and council as well as public will have an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, so the question period is open for both council and the public until May the 13th, and your email is chenier.hpayne@belnet.ca.
That's correct.
And today, though, you can take questions if they want clarification on anything on your slides, or is that included in your questions?
Well, if you want to ask questions tonight, I'll just jot them down and respond in writing.
Okay. So I'll open that floor up to council if there's any questions about the presentation tonight. Drago, you go ahead.
Thank you. Through Mayor to the Treasurer. Great report, Melissa. My only concern is what I brought up 3 or 4 times during the last 6 months, and I was asked to bring it during the budget time. I agree with the administration. However, I think it's paramount that we keep the valve replacement at $25,000. If you recall last year, the difficulty we had replacement, finding it, and became very expensive. I think now if they want to transfer funds, that's fine with me. But I think it's paramount that is $25,000 allocated for that job. Let's get it finished this year instead of next year, the year after. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Are there any other questions from council or comments at this time? I want to note this is a new process for us, and just something I'm realizing right now. We will have council deliberation on the 20th as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because when we discuss ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, I don't want to lose that part of the process. So that's good.
And then
yeah, go ahead.
There'll also be open discussion period for public at that meeting as well.
Okay, okay. So I just have one question just about the uncollectible funds. So the 21,500, which is half of 43 of the March 31st, if I'm getting that right. So, because we do have protocols in place where you miss so many, like there's shutoffs, there's procedures and that sort of thing. Does that seem to help with the uncollectible accounts, or?
Yeah, for sure. Like we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that decreased over time, Melissa?
Yeah, it has. The first meeting that I don't know if it was the first or second meeting when Nathan was presenting the audited financial statements, he said that the uncollectibles were 43%.
Okay.
So 21,000 out of 1.09 million is pretty low compared to 43% it was a couple of years ago.
Okay. Okay. Good news. Good news. Okay. That's all the questions I have. So I'm trying to see. Okay. I've lost my paperwork. Okay, there was no resolution to accept the presentation? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Melissa, and it was really well done report. And I'm looking forward to the discussion on the 20th. Have we figured out how we are going to have participation from the public? Will they be online with us virtually if we still have to meet this way?
Yeah, that's how we've set it up, so they can, same as the way David and Judy are on tonight, they'll be able to unmute and ask questions to Mayor and Council.
Okay, perfect. I'll do an update and we can let people know that. Okay, so we're moving on. Petitions, there's none. And disbursements, none. Managers reports. So do you want me to read the resolution first, Gail, and then we'll open up with managers reports, or do it at the end?
Sure, that's a good
Okay.
idea.
If I could get a mover and a seconder, please. Peter. And a seconder, John. Okay, so moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the manager's reports provided at the regular meeting of Council held on Wednesday, May 6, 2020. And we'll open that up for discussion, and we have Gail first.
Well, I don't think I have anything particular that I need to say that I haven't put in my report, but I'll just sort of quickly scanning it. I am happy that our official plan process has kicked off, and I think it's going to be good. I think they're going to be good to work with. So that's exciting news for us, and there's some notes, as you see later in the meeting, about that. But certainly willing to take questions if you have any.
Oh, sorry, I'll open up the floor to questions. John, go ahead.
Yeah,
Gail?
through you, Mayor. Gail, in your report, I just clarify, you said something about extension to higher EDI was not received in a positive manner. I'm just
What?
wondering if, in your report here, it says you're looking for an EDI, Economic Development Intern?
The Economic Development Intern?
Yeah.
Yes, we've tried. We've posted 3 times and haven't. Well, we've actually had some good qualified candidates, but in the end, after the interview and after considering our offers, they've decided to take jobs elsewhere, mostly because it's closer to where they're from, and they're a bit hesitant to come here with a small community and not as many amenities and things like that. So we're posting it for again. Oh, and then for the extension, I had asked NOHFC if we could have an extension because we had a year to hire somebody, and we're going to come up on that year in July. So she said possibly they could give an extension till September, but probably not thereafter. So I was kind of disappointed in that because I know the HEDC, for example, has gotten extensions before, but it is a different program manager now, so maybe it's just that. But I had explained that it has been hard enough for us to recruit right now, but even more so during COVID, there's not going to be very many people that are, I think, wanting to. They're just not going to be focused on this right now. So, anyways, she said to proceed, so we'll post it again, and I'll readdress if we don't get anybody willing to take the position. I'll readdress the extension because we really do need the staff member, and we've got lots going on and such a really great learning opportunity for somebody. So I would pursue that again if we don't get somebody, and perhaps take it up the line a little bit, because I think we could probably get an extension if we ask the right person.
Okay, thank you.
That answers your question, John, yeah? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Any other further questions for Gail? Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Through you, Mayor, to the CAO. Can you elaborate, Gail, please, on the Establishment of Municipal Services Corporation, please.
So I don't know a lot about it yet, Drago, but it's a separate entity that is, it's run by the municipality, but it's a separate corporation. So it would be a separate arm that like they could run, at this time we're looking at housing, but you can have a municipal services corporation that runs your utilities, like if you had your own hydro system or something like that. So it just allows a bit more freedom. You're not under the direct, you have your own, it has its own board, and it's not under the direct auspices of a council, but it is part of the municipality in that it's formed by the municipality. So we are having upcoming meetings on that in the next couple of days to get more information on that. So yeah, right now we're looking at that to help us out with our housing issues.
Thank you very much, Gail.
Any other questions for Gail? For Gail's report? Well, I want to say, Gail, and to all your staff that just by the length of your report and all the things that are in here, and I want to take this opportunity right now as well that I was on the website just because I had somebody asking me about the request for service form, and I always use the app, and I have to say it was like extensive. I was so excited. I actually lost myself because I sent out everyone a shout out about it because I was looking at the agenda, and I just really feel like we're building a platform and building a community that people are going to want to settle for the long term. So big shout out to all your staff, Gail, everyone involved. I don't know the ins and outs of everyone where they plug into the system, but I know you've got a great team, and it was just evident when I was going through the website, and it's great for me when I get requests. I'm like, yeah, you can go right here and this is it. So I really thank you for that. And I know it's tremendous working under all this pressure right now with COVID-19 and the pandemic as well. But I was truly, truly amazed this afternoon. And I just want to thank you for that. And great report.
Thank you for that. And I will pass that on to the staff members that aren't on the call. And yes, we do have a great team. They're all really hard workers, dedicated, motivated, and we all want to see these same goals and objectives. So it's an exciting time for sure. But thank you.
Good, right on. Okay, so we'll move on to the next report. We have the treasurer. Do you want to speak first, Melissa, or just take questions if there's any?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. I'll just take questions if there's some.
Okay, is there any Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Mayor, to the treasurer, is that the newfound money, $200,000 from NWMO? Is that a newfound beside what we received before?
Yeah,
First item?
Yeah, they committed to helping support our economic development for 2 years, and this was the remaining balance to pay until the end of October. That's when our 2-year commitment is over.
Thank you, Melissa.
Any other questions for the treasurer? Okay, I just have one comment. I'm not sure if this would be the right place to put it. If we're having issues finding or attracting an intern, is there ways we can sweeten the pot or anything like that with some of these economic dollars? Or I'm just putting it out there.
We have done that within the $200,000 when we sent the budget to NWMO.
Okay, great. So hopefully that helps. It hasn't seemed to be so far, but okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to, thank you, Melissa. And we'll move on to the Public Works Manager's report. Would you like to speak to it, Dwayne, first, or take questions?
The only thing I'd like to add is that the street sweeping has started in town, so we're starting to get there's a fair amount of sand accumulated on the roads, taking quite a bit off already.
Okay.
Maybe has any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Thank you, to the Mayor, to Public Works Manager. In respect to the arena, what state is the ice resurfacer ready for 2020-21 season? What state is that? Is it still functionable, please?
Yes, it's still functionable, and they've done some repairs on the board not already. Jay's been keeping himself quite occupied up there so far.
Okay. The reason I asked, Dwayne, is City of Timmins just purchasing a new Olympia electric, $125,000 current price as of yesterday. And Zamboni Electrical, $145,000 electrical. So something to consider for the budget. We do reserves or capital planning. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Drago. Any other questions for Dwayne? No? Okay. I just have one comment, Dwayne. I did get earlier when I was alluding to a request for service form, I did tell someone to put one in, and it was about the second landfill site or our main landfill site. It was about the garbage collecting on there, and I just said that I wouldn't say it at the meeting as well tonight. So, and I'm assured our resident that we are looking into that, and we did last year. There was quite a bit of work done, so that'll probably come sometime.
I haven't seen the RFS form yet, but good to know.
Yeah, it was just before our meeting, so. Okay. Oh, there was a question. Yes, go ahead, John.
Yeah, good question. We did some work on the culverts last fall by the grocery store. I wonder how everything is working, and is there another problem that you see in your travels that we need to look at?
Not in that area for sure. That's flowing quite well.
Good question, John. That actually spurred me to something I was thinking about when I was walking earlier this week. The access to those culverts that we put in, there's no way that anyone could access or get into that area. Are they, like, the access points covered with some sort of grate or something?
Yes, they have a grating on it.
Okay. That was my only question. Any other questions? Go ahead, Peter. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, Dwayne, I was just, somebody asked me earlier, and you pretty well answered the question I had for Jason. You're saying he's quite busy, eh?
Yeah, he's fairly occupied right now. He's waiting for the students to start here, hopefully shortly. Yeah, he's been keeping quite occupied. He spent probably close to a week just building those signposts for me to put around town.
Okay, no, as long as he's busy, we're utilizing him, because I was just concerned that if there wasn't much for him to do, that with the COVID funding and whatnot going on for people that are laid off, he'd probably be making as much, if not more, staying home. But if we're being able to utilize them, it's money well spent.
Yeah, it's not worth letting him go. I need him. I definitely need him.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Gail.
I happened to run into him today. I was had to run to the town hall for a minute, and he was also dropping something off as I was leaving. And he mentioned to me, and Dwayne, you would know this, but he said that he got a lot of the, I think almost all of the stuff from the engineering report that our staff can do, or that he can do alone at least, is done now. So that's a really good thing, because it's hard to do it when you're doing your, you know, when the place is open and you're busy doing other things. So I was pleased to hear that.
Okay, if there's any other comments for Dwayne or questions. And I just want to say thank you for getting the lights and the tree down and everything. I did notice that right away, and it looks great there. But we can't use our park, but it does look good. Okay, thank you, Dwayne. And we'll move on to our Economic Development Officer, Stacy Rendell. Where are you? There we go. Would you like to speak to your report first, Stacy, or do you want to just take questions if there is any?
I'll just take it questions if there's any.
Okay, Counsel, any questions? Go ahead, John.
Your first one, regional broadband update. Next meeting is May 7th. That's tomorrow. is it further on our agenda tonight, or is there an update to that?
No, there's no update. We're still in the same process, so we're still doing the application process. I think the contractor is coming back with our next steps tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have 2 meetings. I'm only going to be on that one for 35 minutes because I have another meeting right after. But
Okay.
we're still moving forward, just a little bit slower because of COVID.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
Just a
welcome.
question on that, Stacy. Has it been difficult to meet virtually with all the communities?
So this is the first broadband meeting. So both the regional EDOs meeting and the broadband for last month were both canceled. So we're going to try both of them this month.
Good, good. I think that's a good step to even try, and then see who can connect and who can't. But Councillor Stefanik, did you have a question?
Yeah, through Mayor to Stacy. Number one, Stacy, the report that you submitted, one of the best reports that have written in the last 30 years. Fantastic report, thorough. There's no reason for council to make a decision this time because we've been discussing this now 7.5 years. All the information is there. Everybody takes time to analyze it. Superb report, Stacy.
Thank you.
A small
That
Well
was
done.
also Gail and Melissa.
The whole team, directing to you, to your team. Simple 2 things, 3 Bears naming contest, April 22nd, and COVID-19 business impact survey. What's the response, please?
So we've got some good names coming in already.
That's all I want to know, okay?
We've also printed ballots. So if we find that this month that we're not getting as many responses as we'd like, because we'd like to have a lot for this contest, we're going to do a mail out the last week of May. So it doesn't close till June 22nd, but people can still just send in ballots. And the business one isn't released yet. So we did some tweaking of it after the last business call. So it'd be Taylor's supposed to put it online tomorrow at 10.
Okay. Thank you for your answers.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stacy. Is there any other questions from council? Okay, I just have one question. I tried to find it in your report. It talks about the Hornepayne LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
Okay, where is it? I tried to find it. What's the name of it?
It's just Hornepayne EDO.
Oh, okay. I looked and you'll have to send me a friend request.
I haven't been on there in weeks, but I will try to send you a
Well, I'll try and find it now that I know what it is. When I read the report, I had to have a laugh because I was like, oh, someone might have asked me about it. I wouldn't even have known. I would have been like, oh.
I only did that because of the 2 girls on a mission. They were the only way they wanted to connect was on LinkedIn, so that's why I have a profile.
Oh, okay, okay. Yes, I ended up buying a puzzle. So.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so that was my only question. Any other questions from council? Okay, we'll move on to the fire chief's report. And if there's any questions, we can get Gail to take them down. And
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Through you, Mayor, to Gail. Can you please tell Miles what a super work he does? This is a volunteer position. I've been reading his reports religiously every time he put it in. I studied them. Fantastic. I thank on behalf of myself and anybody else that knows anything about fire department. What a great person. Thank you.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of work. I certainly will.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll carry on. So the council motion was moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby acknowledge receipt of the manager's reports provided at the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, May 6, 2020, and I'll take the vote. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. And we'll move on to correspondence action items. So we have 11.1, and that's the IESO.
So basically, just wondering if you wanted to follow up with and ask for a meeting, and I know you've been having, or we've been having ongoing meetings, so it's not really new for us, but they put the formal request out, so.
Yeah, I definitely would like to keep talking with them and meeting with them and trying to build a relationship for sure. Any other discussion from council? Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
Thank you. No more of a comment on what you just said, is I agree we should keep meeting with them and seeing what they can do for us and working together.
Okay, I know that they're talking about doing their next round of consultation and that, and I don't know what with the COVID situation when they could meet. And I know Terry Young has still said many times he would like to come to Hornepayne, so I think that would be a great benefit for him to come. So yeah, I'd really like to extend that invitation when he can and when the COVID crisis is over, or the pandemic. So there's no further, we don't need a resolution or anything like that. We already passed one on the 6th. Okay. Okay, if there's no further comments, we'll move on, Council. Okay, so moving on to correspondence information only. I need a mover and a seconder for the section, and then we can discuss. A mover, Councillor Stefanik. And a seconder, please. Belinda. Okay, moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached with the agenda at the regular meeting of Council held on Wednesday, May 6, 2020. And there are several items in there. Is there any items that someone would like to speak to? Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm looking at item number 12.5 regarding the CN building and adjacent building. Full disclosure, I'm not a mechanical, I'm not a structural engineer. However, I have an eyesight. Take a walk by, 60% of the roof is down. The structure, talking about the base concrete, has been deteriorated approximately 10 years ago. I think it's a great thought, but let's not waste our time with a bunch of letters. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments on 12.5 from Council? I have to agree with you, Councillor Stefanik. When I read it, I think we, Gail, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've passed like 3 resolutions, multiple councils that we don't. There's we don't have the time, the money, or it's not even on a good piece of land. It's so close to the tracks. It's unfortunate, but there's lots of memories there. I know people are tied to this building, but it's not on anyone's agenda right now, and it's not on council. So
if I'm not mistaken, the first resolution passed to support the demolition was in 2012.
okay, so it's been quite a number of years, and it is, I agree with Drago, it is definitely getting to a place, probably beyond a place of safety, and they did fence it recently. So yeah. Okay, so any other comments on the correspondence information only? Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
I had a question, just clarifying 12.8, the Globe and Mail news article. I'm just wondering if we already have projects that are shovel ready, or are they, what status are they at? Or is it on hold because of the COVID?
I'll direct that at you, Gail. Yeah, okay.
One thing that we could do, and I've already talked to Pat about this from Aqua, is the exterior of the water tower. It's ready to go. So he actually is reaching out to NRCan is one of them. I'm not sure who the other funder is that he's aware of that are looking at these things right now, but he's doing that on our behalf. And then there are the things that we have applied for already. If we don't get the funding from those programs, there may be an opportunity to get them from another. Or we all, not that they're shovel ready right now, but depending on further discussions on some of our municipal buildings, uses for them and whatnot, there's a potential for that depending on when this comes available.
Thank you.
Okay, any other further questions or comments on the information only package? I just have two comments. I actually wrote a note here, if I can bring it up. For 12.2, the Hornepayne Public Library 2019 Annual Report, I would like to acknowledge the work that the Hornepayne Public Library is doing and thank Councillor Stefanik and the entire board, CEO Darnell Hill and the staff for their contribution they're making to our town. I find that this type of report is a very, it serves as a very prideful thing for all of us to embrace of our community. And I love the pictures of community members. It's very vibrant. And I want to also thank all the residents that take part in these activities and the volunteering that happens to our community to just create a place that it's a good place to raise families and to celebrate our elders. Like I was just well done all around. Thank you, board, CEO, and Councillor Stefanik. Thank you for that. The other one that I want to draw people's attention to is 12.9, the framework for reopening our province. I know just in the discussions we've had with calling people that I've called on my list that I've been making contact with, and people that are contact me with the Facebook Live and that, there is quite a bit of apprehension about the reopening of the province, and people are very concerned. So I don't know if there's any comments that council wants to make on that reopening. If you have any concerns about it, you can send me an email or send Gail an email, and we can discuss it at the CCG meetings as well. And Drago as well, you can send Drago an email. If there's anything that you might seem concerning or that we need to look at with the reopening of our province and how that affects our community. Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Peter?
I did take note of that. I've been about halfway through my list, and probably about a third of them were voice of concerns like you mentioned, Madam Mayor, was opening too early. They're very concerned. A lot of them expressed basically the opinion that our government did the right thing because the numbers are showing it. The low numbers, like there wasn't that big peak they were kind of estimating or predicting. But that being said, that was their biggest concern, was opening up too early.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Yeah, many times on the call, I had heard, I'm not a fan of Premier Ford, but I like what he's doing. Like I've heard that many times on the calls and with people just in general. So they're doing the best they can, and I see that for every call we're on and everything that's happening. So if you have any comments, please let me know, or Gail or Drago, so that we can bring it to the CCG if there's anything that you notice in there that might not work for our community, and how we can open up our community as best we can. And I want to reiterate, and I'll do that again in the update, that still practice social distancing and all of that as we more people start moving around the province and these things start happening when they start happening. So, okay, is there any other further comments on the information? Go ahead, Gail. Yes, go ahead.
So I have a hard time finding where my hand can fit in the screen.
I always lift up the wrong hand, I have to say it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, and I don't know if you noticed, but I did send you an update from the province today that some of the businesses are being loosened again further. I believe it starts Saturday, but it's sidewalk things with the sidewalk entrance, certain things with the sidewalk entrance, and hardware stores are one of them. I don't know if if Bonnie has the option to stay closed or not, or what Home Hardware's protocol is going to be, but just that she may be reopening. So just that may also, you know, make people a bit nervous and whatnot. So that's coming, I believe, on the weekend.
Okay. Maybe I'll reach out to our Home Hardware before I do the update tomorrow, and then I can include that with it. Did you just send that this afternoon, Gail? I didn't.
It was, no, it had to be before lunch, I think.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. Okay, so so that was moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information package attached with the agenda at the regular meeting of Council held on Wednesday, May 6, 2020. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? There being none, carried. Okay, so moving on, 13 is donations, none. 14 conferences, none. 15 committee reports, 15.1. So you have your package. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Peter. And a seconder, John. Okay, moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council, the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the minutes of the Hornepayne Public Library Board regular meetings held on the following dates: Tuesday, January 22nd, 2020, Tuesday, February 25th, 2020. Any discussion on the motion? We'll take the vote. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? There being none, carried. Okay, so we're moving on to new and other business. 16.1, the COVID update. Do you want to speak to that, Gail?
Sure, I'll just say a few words.
Okay.
First, I think that your Facebook lives are a really great thing. There's lots of people tuning in, and I didn't watch it live, but I watched last night your interview with Dr. LeMay Henderson, and it was excellent. So I think that's really helpful for everybody. So in the last couple of weeks, we've done up you have copies of them there, but we've done up a list of sort of protocols for the accommodations people, for new people that are coming into our community, so that they hopefully will follow what our residents are following. We did a mail out to remind people about what not to flush down the toilets, because they're still seeing lots of wipes and grease in the wastewater plant. And also a resource list for mental health places to call, links, that sort of thing, because I really find when you're talking to people just in general, it's this pandemic is really starting to affect a lot of people, even though we have more freedoms here than I think you would in a city. You know, it's still affecting people. So I think we're going to see some issues with that. And we also have a sheet ready to go of resources to anybody who needs it, that's coming out of your phone calls, or indeed anybody can have one, but it's got a list of all the business hours. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at it for a week now, but just the main number, the symptoms of COVID, the main numbers you can call for assessment would be the hospital and the health unit. We've got a couple of mental health numbers on there. And there might be a couple other things I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's there. So if any of the people that you're reaching out to would like that emailed or mailed to them, we can do that. So just let us know. And that's all I have.
Okay. Is there any other updates from council or anything you want to share under COVID-19? I just want to say that I want to thank the community actually for participating in the Facebook Lives, for getting the questions to us. And it was great, and a big thank you to Dr. Henderson for participating. And she reached out to me right after that she would be willing to do that again for our community. So that's fantastic. And I really look forward to engaging with people. And I have to say, I reiterate what you say, Gail, like the mental health bracket is huge. It's you know, we're a social people and we're really feeling it. So if that's everything, we'll carry on with 16.2, the community control group meeting update. Did you want me to do that, Gail, or would you like to do that?
Go ahead.
Okay, we've had great participation at the community control group. The information that we're sharing is really good. We actually, Gail asked the group, we were concerned about taking too much professionals' time and that sort of thing, and if we needed to go to bi-weekly meetings. It was a resounding across the board of professionals. Nope, they like being in the loop, having the weekly meetings, and to carry on that way. So we're going to continue with the weekly meetings on Wednesday at 1 for now. And really good idea sharing across the board, and it's been good to support people, especially we're hearing weekly from the Porcupine Health Unit, who I have to say is doing an amazing job for our area of keeping people updated and abreast of the situation. Dr. Catton and her team are just amazing, and as soon as you question them, you're getting immediate responses, and it's good. So it's a good communication. Did I miss anything, Gail? Would you like to add anything?
I was just thinking about the, I think this was in an earlier meeting today, but I could be wrong, that the OPP has placed some signs around the community at essential workplaces, and the township was one of them, just thanking people for their service, one at the hospital and must be one at the ambulance space. I think that's what he said, and that's where it would make sense to put it. So that's nice. It just seems like everybody's really are in it together, and everybody's working. Really, everybody fits like a glove. It's just everybody is positive, and I actually asked today about you know, how people were doing in general at workplaces that do this kind of work, or healthcare work, not my kind of work, and they said yes, everybody's, you know, it's tough and it's challenging, but everybody's doing okay. So I was really pleased to hear that. That's really important.
Yes, and also
yeah,
with the OPP, you reminded me about the signs that Trevor Tremblay has agreed to do, like a question and answer with me for the residents about just the different things that they can do for social distancing, what they can expect from the OPP and that sort of thing. And just an update on our from the hospital today. They told us that there's been about 100 swabs done, just under 100. They finished their protocol with their whole staff and all of that. So we should hopefully we'll get good news next week that there is nothing in our community, but just so people know that that has happened as well. So we'll have a good indication next week of where our whole community is. Okay, do you have any questions, Council, for the CCG or the Community Control Group? Okay. And anytime too, you're welcome to email me questions, or if you have concerns, or if we're missing something, of course, right? All the time. Okay, so we'll move on then. There was no. 16.3, Nagogami Forest Management Plan. So really well done report, Gail. I want to try and get it up here. Okay, do we have any questions from council first? So I guess what we need to discuss is from council's position, we have a couple of options, and you can see the options in Gail's report on page 3, that we can provide a formal response or choose to respond individually, or we could do both. I've been involved with the meetings and these certain things. I really think we should put something in from council. We could have it put in next our council meeting on the 20th. And I would encourage all of council to put in separately as well. Peter, did you have a comment, Councillor Kissmaker?
Yeah, just a comment, Madam Mayor. Just agreeing with what you said. When you mentioned the options right away, it's putting it in as a group, I think would have the biggest impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure, Gail, how would you like to proceed to get the resolution made up for that for next meeting? Do you want council to send you their values that they would like included on it?
I think that would be the best thing, and then we can compile them and make it into a well, into the comment or whatever, however you want it, whether you want them all listed on the resolution or just say that council is going to submit and we attach the comment sheet. That would be the best thing, just to make sure we capture everything.
Okay, well, why don't we do that, council? You can email Gail your concerns, your values, and then Gail, I'll leave that up to you on how you think it would be best to proceed for council for our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and Councillor Paroff, you have a question or a
Yeah,
comment?
I just wanted to bring up that last night the local citizens committee was supposed to meet. Unfortunately, I think there were some technical difficulties and we were postponed. But I think on that one, we're going to talk a little bit about the forest management plan. So it's been postponed till tomorrow, so we'll have a little bit more information, you know, in the next week or so.
Okay. Just to give council a heads up, I did do a video with, we did a question meeting, actually. It was a go-to meeting that we recorded with myself, Shelley, she's the plan author. I can't think of her name right now. Stratton, I believe. Shelley Stratton, and Steve Thurig and Paul Fantine. So there's lots of questions answered. They're just we got cut off at the end of the meeting, so they're just editing it a bit, and that hopefully we'll get that out tomorrow for citizens to be able to view. The only concern I had about when we did, I didn't think of this till today, was during that interview process, we didn't show the map that we actually have on our council agenda tonight. That first map, where is it? The document one that's on with your agenda. So I'm thinking once the video is released, I'll include it in the update, and then we can put this map with it so it's there as well. But I think overall, Gail, it's going fairly well. Like I think the community is being heard. People are putting in submissions.
Yeah, and I think they recognize the importance of the things that were missed, and I think it's important also to get it out there that it's not that these were done intentionally. They get their data for their maps from the M&R database, and these things were not identified in the M&R database. So that's what we're doing. It's just rectifying. And I was going to say something else. Just that we have a map outside in our outside glassed-in box right by the front doors for people from the public to go and actually see up, up close what the map is. And right now, Ngogami Forest Management, or sorry, not Ngogami Forest, First Resource Management next door, their office, they have a box where you can submit your comments. I believe there are comment sheets in the box as well if you needed a hard copy. Otherwise, you can print one off the website and bring it there and actually put it in a box. And they have ordered a proper mailbox, so that should be in any time. And they have maps also posted in their windows, but it's probably easier to see in our box because you can come right up to it. So just wanted to add that.
Okay. So council, any further comments on that, on item 16.3? Okay, we'll move on and then we can have our submission go in at our next council meeting. So 16.4, 180 Front Street discussion. How do we want to have this discussion, Gail?
Well, I don't know if Stacy, if you wanted to talk about anything or not, or if, I mean, there's a lot of information there. So I don't know if it's worth it for you to do a quick summary of it, or if everybody's had a chance to read it, it might be easier just to ask questions that you have on the various sections. I mean, Stacy, how do you feel about that? Because it's a lot to go through. Like, I don't even know if you could really do a brief overview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we need a brief overview. Yeah. I think people have had, I just wanted to know if she has anything she wants to just highlight for us.
How about we just ask, or you guys can ask questions, and some of them probably be answered by Melissa, because she's the financial guru.
I liked your surprise face emoji. Okay, I'm sorry I had to say it. This is interesting. Okay, so council.
While I don't know if I'm gonna have any answers.
Oh, that's why you had the surprise face emoji. Oh man. Okay, so council, you've had the report. You have opportunity to ask any questions that you have. And I'll open up the floor right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
All right, thank you, Mayor. What is, like, there's a number of options in here, and I'm not sure, like, there's an option for space, and my personal feeling is spending money on a facility to try and entice business to come here so it can be populated is a pretty risky move at this time. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm in favor of it, that's all.
So the options are not my recommendations. Let's make that really clear right off the bat.
Sorry if I said that.
No, that's okay. Those were just options that were discussed over the last year with different council members, either at the strategic plan or when we were doing the arena planning. So these were just options of things that could go into the building. I think, honestly, my point is, I think we really need to look at the numbers, and then we would have, if we decided to do one of those options, we'd have to flush out the numbers for any of those options.
Right, right. If I may go another one.
Yes, go ahead, John.
If the township moves into that building in some way, what would happen to the existing place and with its fire department?
Do you want me to answer that, Gail? So we're in preliminary discussions. I mean, with the SDR, it's talking about taking some of our municipal buildings or different sites that we're right now paying operations on all of them and doing some combining. We haven't flushed out a full plan with that whatsoever. There's a lot of discussions on, say, if the township moved in there, you know, that building could be sold for surplus. There's been different options put out for the fire department, but this would be all contingent on funding, right? So they're all just, they would all have to be flushed out, right? We'd have to see what the return on investment for what would be the operational savings by combining buildings or moving buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions right now? Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Peter?
So timelines with the building going forward, do we have any plans set, or are we just we're trying to find possible solutions for a building that's been costing tons of money to keep going and will continue to cost money that we can't afford to put into it with no visible end to it?
So we don't have a plan right now. I mean, we project plan together, but there's some questions that have to be answered, right? We have to know if we're going to go forward, if there's a budget for this building, what's council's expectation of return on investment. Is this something we're going to take on and potentially our taxes go up, or we're going to try to break even, or there's probably more questions than answers still at this point. For me anyway.
Yeah.
Any other comments from council? I don't want to speak before everyone else speaks or has an opportunity. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Agree, Mayor. I think this is a very vital issue, and I think we should set aside 1 hour in the future meeting, because I have at least about an hour. My points, I melded it all together. I came up with a different plan. So I mean, that's massive report, superb. I think we should dedicate, not gloss over this. There was a lot of work done. We should dedicate an hour at least to specific discussion, and everybody, and we have to make a decision sooner or later. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Peter?
I agree with Councillor Stefanik 100%. Drago, that was I've been wanting that for a while, and I wholeheartedly back you up on that. I would love to have a meeting dedicated just to this, because this is an issue that was not only been weighing on everybody's shoulders for quite a while. It was a hot topic during the candidates night, and I think a lot of taxpayers would like some answers and some solutions. So yes, I really agree with what you said, Drago.
Thank you, Peter. Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Belinda?
I agree with Drago and I agree with Peter. I do believe we need some time to sit down and stew this out.
Go ahead. Thank you, Belinda. Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
I'm also in favor of it. I think that's a very wise idea, and we should do that someday.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Last comment. If you see any hot grants coming out within the next month, let us know, please. I mean, you never know. COVID-19 grant, I don't know. If something does seriously come up, very, Melissa as well, if something massive comes out, we should have an emergency meeting real quick, I think. Thank you.
So we're definitely monitoring all the COVID-19 grants that are coming out and all the support, so we can definitely let you know.
Okay, so I think I'm hearing from council that we need to have a meeting that's discussing this. I'm not sure how quickly that can happen. I'll have to ask that over to Gail just for timelines. And there are several questions on page 29 that I think council should come prepared to answer of the report. And I would just, the comments I wanted to make, and I think I've said this to both Gail, Stacy, and I don't think it's a hidden fact that I would like to see our municipal buildings at some point either hit targets of self-sufficiency, and that doesn't mean it totally covers itself, like I think with the arena, the 25% target. And then with this certain building, the 180 Front Street, I would like to see it at a minimum support itself. I don't think like that's my gut feeling. I don't, and even further that, I would think having a building that pays back the money that's been put out, that we can say that that's come from the tax base. Some of it hasn't come from the tax base, but the money that that would be associated with the tax base, if we could recoup, and failing all that, I don't see, yeah, it's that. Those are my comments that I leave you with till we have the meeting. So. Yeah, go ahead, Gail. Yeah.
Well, I was just looking through my calendar, and if you want to have a special meeting, I'm thinking June the 10th would be really the first opportunity. It's a Wednesday evening, if you want it on a Wednesday evening.
Council, June, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Gail, I was going to actually bring up the date for this meeting. Once we address your dates, recommendations for council meetings, I had something in mind. So once we get that issue, I will speak to that issue as well. Thank you.
Okay, so Drago, you're suggesting leave the date till we do the other dates? Yes, okay.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Councillor Kistemaker, Peter.
Oh, I was just going to say that June 10th was fine with me, but I'm good with whatever.
Okay, we'll leave June 10th on the table right now, and then we can look at when we do the meeting dates. Okay. Is there anything else, I'm directing this to Stacy, is there anything else that we need to prepare, Stacy? Like, will any other things that you need to move forward that we should have thought about ahead of time? Would you be able to email those if you think of anything, or it's pretty much all in the report as is?
Yeah, so I think answering the questions for yourself at the end, what your threshold is, I can send a few more things about what we'd like to see over say a 5-year plan of recouping costs.
Okay.
Do you want me to prepare anything for this meeting, or we're going to stand on the report?
I'm not sure. Council, you've seen the report. Do you need any more information before we come to the meeting?
None, 100% great report. Thank you.
You're good, Councillor Stefanik? Okay, maybe I'll, if it's all right with you, Stacy, if council has any questions or needs some information while they're preparing for this meeting, they can email you directly and sort that out. Would that work?
Is that okay, Gail?
Is that, or Gail, can they email
You know what?
you?
Just to follow protocol, you should just send them to me, and then I'll.
Yes, sorry about that, Gail. Yes, so if council could, if you have any issues that you need discussed before the meeting, send them off to Gail, and then we'll get some answers for you so that we're all prepared for the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to council dates then, 16.5. There's a report with 2 options. Do you want to speak to your report, Gail?
I think just that because we've got so much on our plates, and it is only a difference of 3 meetings for the year. And because of this COVID, I don't know how long that will last, but it is making things a bit more difficult, and it would give staff more time to actually knuckle down and really have some good time to work on things. Because I think you can probably see from the reports and just the agenda preparation, it does take a lot of time and effort to go into a council meeting, which is fine. That's what we're here for. But if we can manage to tighten those up a little bit for a few months, I think it would really help us to move forward at a quicker pace. And, you know, like we may have, who knows if, you know, somebody will have to go off, or we just don't know. Like we've had that happen already a couple of times. So it just would make it smoother, I think, for the staff. I do find the meetings generally have been much quicker than they were in the past. So if we can keep that in mind, we would have longer meetings once a month, but I do feel like we could spend our time right now better focusing for more than an hour at a time on something. I think it would be helpful for the staff.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Thank you. I agree 100% with the CAO recommendation. However, I would like to see back in January of 2021, 2 meetings per month, no question. I mean, we're elected to do meetings, but this is unprecedented times. I respect that from Gail and the staff, and to alleviate some of the stress and pressure from, I mean, there's a necessity, you call special meetings that required, obviously, something major, but I agree 100% with your recommendation. Thank you.
And I agree with you, Drago, because I think one meeting a month is it's just too much. Like for long term, I think they get too long. It's going to be onerous. So I agree with you that for short term, that this would be a solution.
And two, in our discussions, Gail, we were talking about come September, there'll be special meetings to adopt our next budget as well, right? Because are we going to push that back? Has there been any discussion about that?
There has, but I had a discussion after you and I discussed that the other day. I discussed it with Melissa. So Melissa, do you want to clarify the timelines on that?
So all of the back stuff will happen starting August, September, and we won't require a council meeting till December.
Oh, okay. So there won't be any, we won't have to have a special meeting, or they'll all start in December? Okay.
I think that I'd forgotten what the timeline was, but that was the original timeline that, excuse me, was presented with the new budgeting process. And I was also thinking that they were meetings earlier on, but I guess I was mistaken.
Okay. Any other comments from council?
So it's
Yeah, go
option
ahead. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So we're going with option 2?
Oh, option 1, I think.
Option 1?
No, option 1 would be the historical potential dates, right? So it would be option 2 would be the one that is being suggested. So if you look at option 2, there's so the yellow is the holidays, the blue are the meetings that are already scheduled in June. And then the June 24th meeting is coming up for the budget. And so then we would go down to 1 meeting a month starting July and August. We usually have 1 meeting anyway. So September, October, November, and December. And then come December, then Melissa, there would be a special meeting at that time for budget. So there would be possibly 2 meetings in December right now if we took option 2. I'm going to say that I think option 2 is the best plan to move forward. We're getting the suggestion from our staff, and at any time, council, if it's overwhelming, we can put a special meeting on. Like, we can decide that at a meeting. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Thank you. Going back, thank you, Madam Mayor. Going back to my comment now regarding the special meeting regarding the 180 Front Street. I will, if traveling is available, I won't be here June 10th or 17th. If that's the case, I have meetings out of town scheduled, which I cannot miss if it happens. But I don't want to say I'll be here when I cannot be here. Is it possible, because we have 24th meeting, is it possible to have a 25th Thursday and to have 1.5 hours set specifically for that item and get, because I have a report, my report is actually all handwritten, will be typed, and I will share that with everybody once, if we're going to be close to each other. If not, I'll give it to Gail. I want her to share everybody else. So
Go ahead, Gail.
I was just thinking after I suggested the 20th or the 10th, was that we're looking, coming up on the agenda here shortly, to set a meeting for the official plan presentation. And that's not all that long of a presentation. They say probably max an hour. So if you wanted to combine that, something to think about as well.
Okay, go ahead, Melissa.
I was going to actually suggest the same thing, that on the June 24th, it's going to be only to pass the budget. We'll have all the budget deliberations and everything done.
Okay.
And so if we want to combine it on that day, that would probably be appropriate as well.
great, thank you.
Okay, so we
That's
have a
probably
couple options. Wait till the 24th, Gail, you're thinking?
I think, yeah, I think that would be better. We're pretty full up right now. I think it might be better.
Okay, I'm just one consideration. Would it possibly change any of our budget? If we decided to do something
Yeah.
this year with that building?
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So what was the other date, Gail, that you were suggesting?
May 27th.
May 27th.
May 27th, we actually had set a meeting for, I can't remember if it was for budget. I think it was for budget originally, but now because the budget's been pushed back and we have those dates pretty much in hand, the 27th, we thought we could rescind that resolution and have the official plan presentation there, because everybody already had that date sort of set aside.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Peter?
Yeah, so in that budget, there's no money set aside for 180 Front Street, right? Correct, Gail? Is my understanding right?
Yes, because we need some direction on how much, council wants to spend and what exactly we need to do or want to do with the building. So there's various places you can take from if that's what you choose to do, and take from another, area, but nothing definitive, no.
So, Madam Mayor, you made a good point on they kind of go hand in hand, and it's something that we should consider going forward, because there's kind of a common consensus. The consensus going forward is a lot of money has been spent, but going forward, it's starting to get less and less taste. The taste is getting more bitter to go forward with this building. So it's just something, and I think it's going to be considerable expenses going forward. So we should be considering it when we have our meetings. That's all.
Okay, Councillor Kistemaker. Belinda. Thank you, Peter. Go ahead, Belinda.
I honestly think in June is too late. I think if we can have it in May, I think it should be May.
Okay. How does May 27th, we're already looking at having that special meeting. There's an hour set aside, Gail has alluded to, for the official plan. And then we can add the hour and a half to that meeting.
Agreed.
Agreed from, okay. Belinda, John, and
Yeah.
Peter, does that work for you? Okay, so sound good, Gail? Okay.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, so let me see here. So the council meeting dates, are you going to bring me a resolution next meeting then?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we're moving on. We're looking at having a resolution for option 2, and we're going to add a meeting. Well, we have that resolution coming up here for that meeting. So 16.6, we're moving on. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please.
I move it, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Drago. And this is for the first resolution is for the 20. Oh, sorry, I had the resolutions flipped around. So I have the one for the 27th first. I need a seconder, please. Peter. Okay, moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby set a special meeting of Council for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 27th, 2020, to receive an open presentation by J.L. Richards and Associates Limited on the municipal's official plan and zoning bylaw initiative. I'm sorry, I had the right one in my hand, I guess. Or no, I'm reading it wrong on my agenda. I'm sorry. Don't mind my confusion. Do we want to add to this then, Gail? Do you want me to add on to the motion? What would you like added? Or how do we want to word that?
I think you could just say, and to further discuss 180 Front Street.
Okay, and I've added, and to further discuss 180 Front Street. I'll take the vote. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? There being none, carried. Okay, our next motion is for the 24th, June the 24th meeting. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. John, Belinda. Okay, moved by John Paroff, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, does hereby set a special meeting of Council with the intent to adopt the 2020 municipal budget for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, June 24th, 2020 at a virtual meeting room. Be it further resolved that resolution number 2020-90 is hereby rescinded. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll take the vote. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? There being none, carried. Okay, and now we're moving on to Council Committee Update 16.7. So is there any updates from Council? Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker. Peter.
We had the first meeting, hospital meeting since the pandemic started, and it was a virtual meeting like this. Just didn't go quite as smooth as this, so everybody was getting used to the new technology. And basically, kind of all the regular operations come to a standstill at the hospital, and they've been concentrating on locking it down, and they seem to be, with what limited resources they got, they're on top of it to the best of their ability. And their biggest concern right now is just the overall welfare and the health and welfare of the community members.
Okay, thank you for that. That's great that you're able to meet, and I know it's been challenging times with these meetings, like trying to get everybody up on board, and do we even have the technology, some of us?
Yeah.
Anything further, Peter?
No.
No, thank you. Anyone else on council? Councillor Stefanik?
Belinda was first, sorry.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Okay. Just an update from PHU. On April 23rd, PHU declared level 2 yellow opioid crisis in city of Timmins itself. Major problem. It almost seems greater than the COVID-19 form at the moment. In COVID-19, there's 62 cases as of today. Majority cases are in city of Timmins. We have 4 deaths that occurred in PHU region. We're the highest, unfortunately, health unit in Northeast and Northwestern Ontario with the deaths. Even though we're smaller population-wise versus Sudbury or North Bay or Thunder Bay, so that's deeply unfortunate. The upcoming Art in the Park we're going to do together has been canceled. We notified all people that were interested. So that's supposed to happen in July. It will not happen. And also, as the mayor mentioned, the library report, I thank Darnell, Lily, wonderful report, good piece of information. You could share to tourism people, business people. She did a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Drago. Thank you for that update. Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker Belinda.
As that meeting is tomorrow, it's going to be our first since this is all, the COVID thing has happened. So I see a lot of information coming out all of a sudden, so that's great. A few things when doing the calls on the phone, huge of the limited calls that I have done, one big concern that has come up is when are people going to be able to see doctors for operations or just to see a specialist of some sort. So that's a big concern. Hopefully something changes there, because I know it's affecting pretty well all of us. The other thing is the Porcupine Health Unit, Drago, if you can pass on the message, the calls and the information we've received at work has been great, and it's been greatly appreciated, and right
Thank
on.
you.
It's nice to see.
I'll notify
So,
Dr. Catton. I'll tell
Okay.
Dr. Catton tomorrow and your team. Thank you, Belinda.
Is that everything, Belinda?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other updates? Councillor Paroff, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that our LCC meeting is tomorrow night as well. I'm sure we'll be talking about the forest management plan, so I'll have an update later for you. And our Thunder Bay Municipal League, we seem to have difficulty getting a meeting organized, which is okay, but we're still working on it. And just an update, I did make my calls as we were supposed to our retired and senior living in town here. And my response I got back was pretty good. Everybody was quite comfortable. There was no questions, no concerns that anybody really had. But they were pretty happy that we called and asked about them.
Good, good. Thank you for that, John. Yeah. Belinda, did you have something else you'd like to add?
No, it's fine.
Okay, okay. I didn't write anything down this week. I'd have to look at my agenda. I feel just from my perspective where I'm sitting, it's quite overwhelming. There's been several meetings. I have to say, Gail set out the link for the Wishart webinars. They included us in last Friday, the council portion, and I would encourage council to watch those. I've only been able to see the first one and the one that I was a part of. I thought they were really well done. We have great people that support our community, so that's great. And I am concerned, I'm saying this for our citizens' benefit and council's benefit, that people do need to put in their values for the forest management plan. And I'm glad that the LCC is meeting tomorrow night. and that council's decided to put in a group submission for that. If there's any questions from council, I'll definitely take those. We did have, I think we are planning to have another mayor's meeting. I haven't gotten the date on that yet. And I can't think of anything else right now. I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry, but that's where it's at. Oh, I did have HEDC. I see Stacy and I remember the HEDC meeting, so. So I am available if people want to have questions or like I am available. So that's it. Okay, so we'll move on then, council. There was nothing else. So 17 resolutions, 18 is bylaw. 18.1 is the 2020 interim taxes. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. John and Peter. Okay, moved by John Paroff, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the bylaw number 1791, being a bylaw to levy certain interim rates, taxes, and charges for the year 2020, be here read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Be it further resolved that bylaw number 1774 is hereby rescinded. Any comments or discussion on the bylaw? And just to clarify, Melissa, this is the changes that we made at the last meeting to show the dates we moved, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, seeing no discussion, I'll take the vote. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? There being none, carried. Okay, so 19 motions, notice of motions, none, announcements, none, 21 closed session. So to the public, we go into a closed session now. I need to, do I want to pass this first resolution first, Gail?
Just the resolution to close this part of the meeting.
This, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. If I can get a mover and a seconder for that, please.
I move it.
Drago and John. So moved by Drago Stefanik, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the next portion of this meeting at 8:19 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board pursuant of sections 239 2C of the Municipal Act 2001. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? That's carried. Okay, so we're going to move into closed session now, and council has received another link to that meeting. So this meeting will shut down and link back into that other link, correct, Gail?
Yep. And then when
Okay.
you're done the closed session, we'll come back to this link.
Same link.
Yes, so we'll come back to this link when we're done the closed session, and we'll wrap up after that.
Can I get 2 minutes, please, in between? Thank you.
2 minutes, okay. Do we want to, maybe we can do that right now to say, do we want to go to 8:25 so people can have a break? Is that good?
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so we'll go into close at 8:25 to go on that other link. Okay, thank you.